Hello everybody, my name is LaQuan and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are coming to you with the American Music Awards 2021 Red Carpet Review. Now it wasn't really like a stacked house, which probably is offensive to the people that I'm going to be talking about, in terms of like super duper big, over the top, crazy, amazing looks and celebrities, but there were still fashions seen, so we must discuss. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First up is 24K Golden, which he's wearing Marni. Now listen, I saw the suit and I was like, oh, who is this? What is this? Where is this from? Now this is a Francesco Rizzo for Marni moment. It's a beautifully fitted, actually, black suit. It has like a slight subtle flare going on. And then it's just decorated in these little white flowers. I'm sure that they're like buttons or some sort of interesting center of the petals of the flowers here. I just think it looks really sweet. I think with suits, oftentimes, especially with menswear, the graphics are usually very masculine and bro, and this actually seems like really sweet. I like the fact that there's not really a shirt underneath, and if there is, I can't really see it, so maybe it's like a little scoop neck, tank top shirt moment going on, which like, love. He wore a black boot. I'm very proud. Do I wish it was square toe? Of course, but I will take this nice little black boot moment regardless. Overall, I think this is fun, and it's a good change of pace for suiting. Next up is Anthony Ramos. Now he is wearing Zegna, the Spanish brand, which is known for its quite amazing suiting, tailoring. It owns chunk of Tom Brown, in case you didn't know. There's a velvet moment going on here in a nice gray, and it looks like it has either shaven or printed or embossed. I want to say foliage, because at first I thought it was more cheetah print. It's going far more foliage. I think it's a great suit in theory. I think the color is lovely and it's dashing. I think the idea of adding motifs to it also works really, really well. It makes you look deeper into the suit. I just think we have a lot of fit issues. The unbuttoned shirt looks sloppy and messy. I'm not saying put the man in a tie and button it all the way to the top so he can't breathe, but it's sloppy here. And listen, I get it, everyday person, yada yada. Well, no, you were in a blockbuster movie, so you're not everyday person. You gotta have your shirt look nice. Secondly, the pants. Those pants look like they're in need of help. Let's talk about the international sign of distress. She's putting it out there, but she doesn't have fingers. That's the international sign of distress, according to TikTok. But the pants, when it gets to the bottom of the thigh, it like cuts in, but then it's jagged and sloppy and it doesn't fit. The shoes, not great. Maybe we done like a white shoe to match with the white shirt, but the black is not playing into anything else from the rest of the look. It's just fit issues. The jacket fits nicely, but everything else fits like it doesn't. Also, Zegna, suiting, that's your thing. We gotta work on that. Next up is Bad Bunny. Now he is wearing Entire Studios. Now this is a brand that I heard of recently through another YouTuber, Chris Clemens, because he was at like their show in LA. It is two of the stylists or designers that worked for Kanye West under Yeezy. So when I was looking at the collection, I was like, okay, Yeezy. But that would be like me being mad at Daniel Lee or Peter Doe or Nadej Van Cybulski or any of the other designers that worked for Celine, and then they sort of incorporate elements of Celine into their work. But in reality, were the elements from Celine actually their own elements that they inserted into Celine, and then they're bringing back to their own brands because now it's their own brand. It's that what came first, the chicken or the egg here in my mind with the Yeezy commentary. I do like the fact that there's this nice minty green puffer coat. I actually think it looks rather sweet. The white little tank top underneath I think looks good. I think it's solid. I think it's not trying to upstage anything, but it's also trying to say, hey, listen, we don't wear puffer coats without shirts. The pants, not really mad about. I think the color is really sweet. I think the color plays off of this minty jacket moment. I appreciate what's going on at the hem of the pant where we're trying to have like a strap around moment here, and it's like a design element. It's appreciable 100%. It looks a little bit strange here. And then the puffer shoe, again, I understand, I respect where we're going with it, I appreciate the road that we're on, but we just need to touch it up a little bit. At first I thought he was wearing pillowcases, and now it's puffers on his shoes, and puffer slides shoes, those stay at home, not on the red carpet. But overall, I like where we're going with this, and I think that if Entire Studios actually really does develop a strong red carpet system, I think it will be worthwhile. We'll also see a lot of not as known brands, I would say. It's not Vuitton and Dior and Prada and Gucci. It's really not that on this carpet, which I actually appreciate. Next up is Becky G, and she is wearing Raisa Vanessa. It's a brand I've never heard of, but it definitely has a Balmain feeling to it. At least Olivier Roustan Balmain. I wouldn't say Pierre Balmain. It's just very 1980s in the shoulders. It's very sharp. It's purple. It's sort of tweedy. And then on top of it, you sort of have these like diamond little cutouts, which we've been seeing all over the runway for the past 2 seasons, which is really unfortunate because we saw it a lot at like Chanel and we saw it a lot at other places for spring summer 2022. For what it is, it's not horrific. The fit isn't bad. I think it actually looks semi decent. If you didn't really have the, oh, that looks like this and that looks like that and that looks like that, and then they're all slammed together into one look, it could be appreciable. But it's hard for me not to see all of the different design elements taken from different places and slap boom banged together. Do I think it's horrific? No. Do I think the skirt is kind of intriguing in terms of the asymmetry and utilizing the black as a way to sort of trim and pipe different elements of the look? Yeah, actually I do. Raisa Vanessa, I don't know who you are, but I'm intrigued. I think we need to step away from looking a little bit too similar to all the other brands currently on the market, but once you do that, it's okay. Next up is Billy Porter, and he is wearing Botter. Now listen, Billy Porter recently, it's too much. But here, Billy is finally giving us like a fashion moment. Botter is a brand that's designed by Rushmi Botter and Lisi Hairbra. It's brilliant. They also are the creative directors of Nina Ricci. The collections are majority menswear, so that's kind of what you're seeing here. Now, it's a buttoned little top. It has a keyhole cutout, which in menswear you don't really see. The great thing about Botter is they do play on a lot of traditional menswear suiting and sort of do it in really cool, fun ways. They'll do sort of like halter style blazers, or they'll play on pants, and so that's kind of what I think we're seeing here. Is this is like a traditional men's suit, but it's done with a keyhole cutout, which is normally associated with women's wear, or this sort of wraparound little collar moment, again associated with women's wear. The pant I love. I think it's great. I think the color is stunning. Turquoisey, aquamarine blue really plays to the whole idea of Botter and the Caribbean and saving the ocean, which when you look at a lot of Botter collections, there is a lot of references to the ocean and the sea and different elements of that. You have the amazing umbrella headpiece, which they were made. Why not wear them? Billy Porter loves a headpiece. Rushmi and Lisi are very good at making headpieces, whether it's for Nina Ricci or Botter. Looks good. The shoes, I'm not as obsessed with. I think it's hard to like make a shoe work here just because the look is so definitive in and of itself. But the black, I just don't really know with the patent leather if it works off of everything else. Maybe we'd done silver. That would have played off the little wires underneath the umbrella or the little studs in the collar or all the rings. Something silvery would have, I think, helped us out here. But overall, I really appreciate this from Billy Porter. This is like a step up from recent looks, and that is necessary because it's getting too much to look at. Next up is Brittany Broski, and she is wearing Viviane Valerius. Now, this is a brand I've never heard of before, but I like when Brittany Broski sort of goes out and does it. Now, I believe this look is a custom moment, but my issue is it's a lot. I think between the sleeves, which I appreciate what they're trying to do, it feels like it's some sort of draped attempt at like doing a Balenciaga sort of crazy kooky sleeve. It looks like it's trying to create some sort of organism going on there, and again, appreciable. But it looks like a duck's lips. I don't know what's going on here, and like bulbous. The boning of the dress sort of like trying to shape here, and then you have the high slit, but only on one side. Too many design elements and not enough cohesion going on within the design elements. Can we appreciate that it's all in like a red silk? Yeah. Could the silk have been a little bit higher quality? Yeah. I think it would have helped with the sleeves. I think a stiffness there would have really, really been c'est bon. Maybe we just done the slit in the back. That would have helped because the front, little Angelina Jolie leg moment. Just between the boning and the trying to make the sleeves a thing and the slit, it's just too much. I think, honestly, a really, really simple, almost off the shoulder dress with a gorgeous sleeve and then everything else just beautifully cut would have been all you needed in that moment. I think those kind of looks always work, but we needed to pick something to focus on, but our eyes are all over the place. Next, let's talk about BTS. Now, honestly, this annoyed the shit out of me personally because I just feel like they play it safe every time. And I get it. There's a conversation about in the West, they play it safe. Yeah. Great. But I don't care anymore. I just need them to turn it out because they're wearing custom Louis Vuitton from spring 2022, but they picked the least intriguing looks from that entire collection. And now let me tell you, that collection was chock full of so much shit. Each of them could have had a solo career wardrobe for the next 3 different albums. For each of them, just in that collection alone. There was just so much going on there. And yet we chose the last, 3, 4, 5, 6 looks from that collection that were boring gray suits. And then on top of that, like, there's no accessories. Louis Vuitton. Yeah, I get it. Clothing, it's kind of a thing. But the accessories, the bags, the shoes, the jewelry, the harnesses, the whatever crazy shit Virgil Abloh pulls out of his ass every season. There's so much that could have been done to, I don't know, help make these at least somewhat interesting. And yet here we are floundering in a sea of grays. If this was Tom Brown, it's a different conversation, but it's not. It's Louis Vuitton. First up, V. Now, V is wearing a medium gray suit. It has a grommeted little waist belt. It almost looks like it's made up of ties, which maybe is like a Virgil Abloh thing, which I can appreciate. It's like a play on menswear, maybe. It's really pulled tightly, but it's not really doing anything for the suit in general. On top of that, it's a double-breasted experience. He has his hands in the pockets, so that's like scrunching up the sleeves, which isn't great. And then the pants, like, they just don't fit splendidly. They're not really intriguing. They're not really fun. They look a little bit like the pants that your dad would wear to a funeral. And then the black shoes. I'm not understanding what we thought was the moment, what we thought was so chic and so elegant and so wonderful and so great. I understand with the music videos, it was very 1970s inspired, but I just wonder, could we not have like had more of a fitted pant till the knee and then like a dramatic flare? Smooth like butter, this is not. Moving on to Suga, I think that the light gray does look really, really nice. I think it's a beautiful little color. I think it works. Again, we have the tie, belt, grommeted experience. And here I think you can see how little that belt actually does to do anything to the silhouette. Like, yeah, okay, it like kind of flares the waist out, but besides that, there's not much. There's not anything really happening there. The pants, they fit okay. I think it's more to do with the shoe, the knockoff Jordan, than it really has to do with the pants. And the thing is, when you have a lighter color, you can actually see more of the wrinkles, so that's why you see so much wrinklage going on. The other thing is, the look in and of itself is not really much to call home about, so when you have a look that's very simple and basic, you want it to be honed to the umpteenth degree. You want it to be Savile Row level tailoring. This is not giving Savile Row level tailoring, and on top of it, it looks like it hasn't been steamed. We then have Jin. The dark gray looks nice, I have to say. It also doesn't have tie, belt, grommet experience, which I think proves even more that like the belt really doesn't do much in general. The color I think looks really suave and sleek. I think the pants look stunning. They look gorgeous. With the sneakers, I don't really get it. The jacket looks a lot boxier when it's not cinched. Even then, it's like, okay, great. It's the least offensive that I've seen thus far. Then Jungkook does his own version of the medium gray suit. Again, it's sort of belted. It is a cooler gray than the first gray we talked about. We'll call this like a stone gray. There's not much being done. The pants, they're there. They're not really fitting in. They have like a little side slip, but even then it's like, with the shoes. RM, again, you have the light gray, but no sort of belted moment. It looks like this is actually in a wool, this jacket, because it does feel a lot thicker, in my opinion, or it looks a lot thicker. It's a nice jacket, but the pants are bad, because again, you can see all the wrinkling, it looks messy. On top of that, it has like a side slit, and he's wearing a fake black Jordan. It's like black Air Force One vibes. It doesn't look good, it doesn't work, it doesn't make any sense. We then have Jimin. Listen, that dark gray suit is a saving grace for everybody involved. The thing about Jimin is at least the shirt underneath is pink, so it adds something to look at that's not super duper boring. And again, that collection was chock full of a lot of really vibrant neon pinks. Like, had we done, I don't know, the little fur coat over top, or like a hat, or a pink bag, or something to sort of help like bring this into an intriguing area or context, it would have helped. The shoes are hideous. Hideous. Finishing it off in the light gray with the belt, with the blue silky sort of shirt, overall with the black sneaker. It's a mess. I just don't think it looks good. It just doesn't work. It doesn't really make sense. I get they're trying to keep them all together and like get them to look like they resemble each other in a fashion sartorial context, but I just think it's so much more intriguing if they actually showcase their own personalities. They're gonna go on stage and wear very similar shit anyway, so why not on the red carpet just let them do their own thing? Pick out fun, intriguing, cool looks that reflect more so their personality. Let them have their Harry Styles moments. Like, please, Jesus, give us a break. Next up is Cardi B, and she is wearing Schiaparelli. Now, this is a custom look because Cardi has a custom gold face mask with very opulent earrings made up of eyes and eyelashes and fingers that fall down from it. There's a little chiffon veil that cuts into an empire sort of styling right under the breast and then sort of flows down into a little sleeve territory too. And then it's just a fitted black dress. It looks like it's crepey in and of itself, which is Elsa Schiaparelli to the umpteenth degree. It wasn't really a fashion designer in a technical sense. It was more so working in an artistic element. She made a lot of just very simplistic black jackets, skirt suits. The gold elements is where she sort of also then peeked back in because the surrealism of a little glove with big, long, gold metal nails, very Elsa Schiaparelli. The face mask is very Elsa Schiaparelli. The earrings, very Elsa Schiaparelli. Both Daniel Lee at Schiaparelli and Cardi B know what they're doing. Cardi is never afraid to go for it. Daniel, as soon as somebody says, here's a green light, go, he takes it where he needs to take it. And I think this is crazy, ridiculous, over the top, weird, strange fashion moments to remember. We should also talk about Cardi B in Miss Sohee. Now, this is a look, I believe, from the most recent Miss Sohee collection. It's like a veil of blonde hair, which I'm sure is made up of thread, but it's trimmed in silver embroidery, and then there are like little embroideries throughout here too. It's really, really beautiful. Now, this look initially was, I believe, just a top in and of itself, and then there was a little sort of high-waisted skirt, but it seems that Cardi has had it adapted into a dress, and you can see the sort of silver crystals that go throughout, you know, at the waist, just to make sure that you're getting the continuity of silver crystals. I just think that the white of the skirt could have been a bit more yellow to match what's going on the headpiece. I think the beauty of the headpiece is it looks like hair. So on top of, not only is it like a hair headpiece, but we can also see Cardi's hair underneath it. So I think the mirage of it is it looks like it's your hair, but it seems like we weren't going for that wholeheartedly. And I think that also kind of ruins the look a little bit. I get it. I love it, but I think it really would have been such a trompe-l'oeil of life where this headpiece sort of became the hair in and of itself. And everybody went like, oh my God, Cardi with blonde hair, she looks great. And then we'd be like, oh my God, it's not hair, it's just a top or a headpiece or a scarf or whatever it is. Again, could have been stepped up just a tad. Next up is Chloe Bailey, and she is wearing Monsoori. Now, listen, does she look stunning? Does she look like a beautiful woman? Absolutely, she does. It's gorgeous. The cutout and the asymmetry, the sort of velvety dress that's very liquidy, the little keyhole asymmetrical moment that's showing off cleavage, the big thigh slit. Before, yes, I was complaining about a thigh slit, but here, the whole kind of idea of the look is showcasing the body through cutouts. This makes sense. You have a nice little sort of bracelet moment going on with a little waist jewelry that you can see through the cutout that ties in to the jewelry of the shoe. I think perfectly done. Honestly, is it very simple? Yes. But is it done really, really effortlessly? Yeah. And that's what happens when you do simple. Otherwise, it looks a mess, and it's boring, and you get no brownie points for being intriguing. Next up is Leray, and she is wearing Gucci. Now, this is vintage Gucci by Tom Ford, and you can see that it has a very sort of 1970s flair to it. The asymmetry of the black dress, very skin-tight moment, and just being full of reflective little black sequins all over. I respect it. Leray is still, I think, trying to get into the fashion space. She's not there yet. At least with brands, I would think. She's had like 1 or 2 songs that are big on TikTok, and that's great. But I think it takes a little bit more time to sort of develop an aesthetic. But I think this is a good way to sort of get her foot in the door. Like, listen, I know who Tom Ford is. I know that he did Gucci. I'm wearing the dress. I look good. I think it works. I think it's very much so the slinky, sexy, salacious, seductive Tom Ford for Gucci that we know and expect and we love. Next up is Diplo, and he is wearing Dries Van Noten. Do I love this salmon cream denim set by itself? Yeah. Do I think that the pants fit badly? Yeah, it's jeans. You could have tailored them. Shoes, cow skin shoes. I get we're trying to match the creamy, sort of orangey cow skin, the denim look, but I just don't think it works. I wish we had just gone for like one nice, solid, strong black cowboy boot and maybe just done it in the black so that it matches the turtleneck. Do I think we could have done a lot more to, again, make it just that little bit better? Yeah. Next up is Gunna, and he is wearing Etro. Now, listen, I love that he was like, hey, Gucci, Gwyneth Paltrow, Tom Ford, Red Velvet. That I appreciate, that I love, that I think is great. It's just, I'm pretty positive Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars wore same look, but like it was actually Gucci. So that's a little bit tough. I feel like very rarely do we have like a menswear moment where it's like the men are wearing the same look. It just doesn't have beauty of that Gwyneth Paltrow look. And that's more so because like there's a little silky lapel trim. It's buttoned up all the way. But I appreciate that we matched the black shirt to the black boots. I appreciate that he's wearing a boot. I think that's really lovely. The one thing that I really don't think makes sense is the Hermes belt. I get it. We're trying to like flex. We're trying to show people we have money. That's lovely. But like luxury whispers. Put the belt back away. Just wear a nice black belt and that will do wonders. I just don't get why we're wearing an Hermes belt with an Etro suit. Next up is Halle Bailey. Now she is wearing LaQuan Smith. Love this. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. And again, I'm pretty positive they're still styled by Zarina Akers. And I think with Zarina, she understands that the tiny little details that weave themselves throughout a look are incredibly important. So you have a brown chocolatey velvet. It's kind of crushed velvet. It has little side cutouts on the dress. There's a big full exposed torso, abdomen, cleavage moment going on, but it's wrapped up also with these little strings that tie it together, a la corsetry and all of those sorts of elements. And when you look at LaQuan Smith, that's kind of very much so a part of the aesthetic. So overall, the dress in and of itself, it's not too crazy, but it's definitely designed. It definitely has nice elements. It's in a nice color. Great. I think the fact that the shoes are a nice tie-up, wrap-around shoe plays back into the strings here at the torso, and I think that's really the greatest part about it. But overall, it just works. And again, polished. It's polished, and that's what we like. Next up is Jojo, and she is wearing Usama Ishte. This is your kind of run-of-the-mill, sparkly silver chainmail. It's in a halter style. It's a corset that I have to say fits really, really well. And then there are these sort of side cutouts right on the sort of hips, and you have little strings that sort of go in and around and sort of hold that up, which I think is important. And I don't think that it takes away from the rest of the look. And then you have a big sort of slit right down the center. My only issue is I can see the undies under here. That's not it. And it's not that I don't think you should show off your underwear. It's great. It's lovely. But I don't think that that was like the intention of the look. Next up, let's talk about Jojo Siwa. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about Jojo on this channel before. And for me, Jojo's aesthetic is David Bowie meets Lisa Frank. It's just proportion and kookiness, and then also very bright, colorful, child-friendly, which makes sense for what she does. This black dress skews very far from that. In my opinion, I'm not expecting her to have like a glitter thunderbolt running down her face and a full like knockoff Kansai Yamamoto experience going on, although I wouldn't complain if that was possibly done correctly. A black sort of off-the-shoulder draped dress that falls into a sheer tiered chiffon experience. Not what I was expecting. It's just so different than what we usually see from Jojo. I just think we need to bring it back to like a little more colorful, a little bit more fun, because this is just blah. I think there's ways to go about wearing a really beautiful dress that really makes you look grown up and lovely and wonderful and not like a featured character on a Nickelodeon TV show. I think it has to be done correctly. I think she needs somebody that will understand her aesthetic in terms of where she has been, where she kind of currently is, and where she plans to go. And then a guide can sort of be made of what Jojo should be doing and how she should be presenting herself in a fashion context. But I can appreciate the fact that she's trying to be a little bit more grown up. It needs a direction, because if we just keep getting this, she will lose the intrigue. Need to step it up. Next up is Kali Uchis. Now she is wearing Mugler Fall 2021, I believe. Now this is it's not a leather look, I would say. It's more PVC patent leather feeling. but it does capture the Mugler isms. I mean, we have this sort of corset, although it's a little bit more abstract in terms of boning, or at least more abstract than we normally see boning when it comes to corsetry, in a beigey sort of color. And then you have the seamed shoes, which are very Mugler, lingerie, boudoir experience. It all fits into the Casey Cadwallader for Mugler moment. Do I wish that we'd worn a more exciting look? Yeah, I appreciate going for it. I appreciate trying it. I appreciate that, again, it's not like one of the bodysuits that we've seen so many times. I don't think it's a bad thing to wear the bodysuits, but I appreciate the making a little bit more different. Next up is Leray, and he is wearing Gucci and Rick Owens. Now, Leray is a TikToker. This Gucci suit is fully floral. It's full of roses, I believe, in red and yellow. It looks kind of brocadey because it does really have a shine to it. It's flared in that sort of very 1970s Alessandro Michele. Again, I think in the same way with Jojo, with the Leray moment, I'm kind of confused. Just because when I look at Leray, a lot of his stuff is very kawaii. It's cute, it's kitschy, it's very boardwalk, spray painted, or airbrushed hoodie sort of thing. I'm intrigued to see what the next step is. Unlike Jojo, at least this has some sort of different direction. It's a bit floral suit, 1970s flared with the Rick Owens kiss boots. It's appreciable, it's trying, it's an attempt. What is the storyline? What are we trying to showcase? What are we trying to talk about? What are we trying to get people to really be intrigued by? Antique store kind of feeling to it. It's very Alessandro Michele. I want more from Leray. Moments. Where are the moments? Next up is Liza Koshy. She is wearing Anakiki, Fall 21. It's a strapless dress. It is very much so a dramatic baby doll, but it's structured. Oftentimes baby doll dresses are a bit more flowy. They have movement. This is a really very structured dress. You can obviously see where the sort of wiring, lining is going all throughout the dress. It has some sort of lattice motif made up of braids, I think, of some sort. A little bit of a circular bra motif with a little bit of the braiding sort of trimming that as well. And a black thigh-high boot. I appreciate Liza doing a baby doll on the red carpet. I really, truly do. Thank you. I don't feel anything when I look at it. Do you all feel anything when you look at it? I bet you $5 you don't. Next up is Machine Gun Kelly and his daughter. Now, Machine Gun Kelly is wearing Ashton Michael, I believe. It's a very heavily grommeted, little bit of a pearled, pierced look top moment with a black pant that's rolled up. It just looks messy. The top fits in with Machine Gun Kelly's punk band rocker thing, and I get it and I understand it. The pants though, the roll, the cuff, not understanding. It looks sloppy. It looks like he did it himself. It just feels weird. It feels strange. The shoe doesn't really do much. Overall, it just is blah. His daughter looks lovely though. Next up is Madeline Klein, and she is wearing Minot. Minot is a very sort of sexy brand, and I appreciate Madeline going for it. You have to be very aware of the risks being taken, because this shows a lot of skin. It sits right above the pelvis. There's that little halter. And I think you spend a lot of the time looking at that black diamond right at the waist and essentially just all of the exposed skin. Early 2000s sort of feeling to it. It's very sexy. That's what it's meant to be, I would say. The one thing that I don't think makes sense is the black leather gloves. I just don't get where they're playing in. The leather on the gloves looks a lot more washed out. I'm not understanding it. I don't think it was necessary. The dress, though, fantastic. Next up is Main Skin. Now, they are wearing Gucci. Now, it's pretty much just black suits, white shirt, and nice bow ties. The bow ties are a good touch because they're a little bit drapey. Each of these are different suits. On the far right, we have a little flared moment giving Betty Catrol experience. It's nice. And then next to her, we have a cummerbund in black with a nice little silky lapel. And then the one next to that is more of a matte lapel and is a little bit curved. It has a very sort of Gucci recent cut lapel moment. You can see it on the runway reflected here. And then we just have sort of, regular schmegular tailored suit that looks nice. But there's not too much going on. Gucci tailoring, love that, great, gorgeous, but 4 people in a suit doesn't do it. Next up is Marsai Martin, and she is wearing Missoni. Now, here's the thing. This dress looks like maybe it's knit with metallic thread. Genuinely, I'm unsure if this is actually a knit or if this is like a chainmail dress. But the thing that I appreciate about this is it follows the history of Missoni. Missoni is all about these beautiful little patterns and the way that the knits sort of work with patterns, and it's flowy and it's movement, and it's like hydro dipping, but done in the 1960s, 1970s. So I appreciate that. I think the silver works well for some people. Some people are into that. And I think Marsai, whoever her hairstylist is, sort of played on that with the little elements of silver or white braids coming in. I think it's smart. The dress in and of itself, it hits the history of Missoni, and that's great. And it's trying to update Missoni a little bit. Do we think it's a print preference? Absolutely. Next up is Niki DeMar, and she is wearing LaQuan Smith. I believe that this is maybe spring 2021, but it's the chromatic sort of stylings. We have a orange chrome bustier. The boning is there. It's appreciable, great. There's a little cutout because it's like a bodysuit corset, and then the pink chrome little mini skirt. But I think the issue is, again, no emotion, no deliver. Like, I know some people would be like, Billy Porter, he does too much, and he does. But at least he tries. At least he understands the point of like, let me do a little kooky, let me do a little crazy, Carmen Sandiego, but like with an umbrella hat. Like, at least he tries there. Here, it's, you're wearing a full body altering experience and you stand like this. No emotion. No nothing. Sometimes selling the garment's a little bit campy, it's a little bit too much, a little bit kooky, but here it's just monotone. Next up is Olivia Rodrigo. She is wearing David Koma. Now this is pretty much a blue take on a spring 2022 dress. It's a fully sheer halter style moment. It's full of sequins. It has a little waist string detail, a little detail right at the under bust. There's a sort of large blue panty moment going on, and then it's trimmed with blue feathers at the bottom. I just don't understand the lack of emotion, the lack of intrigue, the lack of anything. You can't expect the sequins and the feathers to do all of the work for you. You have to give it something. Also the shoes, they look rough. I don't know if the peep toe kind of moment's come back yet. I appreciate that Olivia's jutting out a little bit, not only wearing black by Yves Saint Laurent, but honestly at this point I prefer that it's giving Cher, because at least that's funny. Next up is Rachel Zegler, and she is wearing Carolina Herrera. The look, I'm actually not sure what collection it's from. It's a black, again, the halter. She is back. She is reigning supreme. The girls cannot stop her. It has a little black cutout. It looks like it's a silky top, and then it pools into white tulle, black tulle, white tulle. It just feels very Christian Siriano. There's not much excitement to it. Like, yeah, it's a big dress, that's great, but like the American Music Awards is where you want to wear a big tulle dress. You look like a wedding topper. And finally, we have Winnie Harlow. Now she is wearing Zuhair Murad. It's a cold shoulder, not chainmail. It's more of like a strip of thread, fabric, embellishment, crystal moment going on, and I appreciate Winnie going for it. She is. She's going for it. She's trying. She is doing something kooky, something crazy, something you wouldn't normally wear. But I think as we get below the waist, because it starts to thin out in terms of we can see more of the body and the strings, that's where you lose it. I think mid-waist is not where you want to thin out your threads. You want them to stay kind of long to like maybe around the knee, a little bit maybe like the thigh area, and then let it thin out a little bit more. But it looks like she's wearing a heavily embroidered top, didn't put on pants, and just said, oh, well, the beads will cover everything else, we're fine. And that doesn't work. So that is the end of the AMAs 2021 roast. Let's talk about our best and our worst. Best, I'm gonna give it to Cardi B and Schiaparelli. I think it was intriguing, it was fun, it played to the history of Schiaparelli. It was also a really tough red carpet in general. Worst, Machine Gun Kelly, Anthony Ramos, BTS. It wasn't great. They needed help. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear all your thoughts on all of these looks, if we can even call them that. I will see you guys on the next one, and TTYL.